Good morning, this is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. PsychicTarot.ca, book your tarot reading and unlock your spiritual journey. And the Pepper Master, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Well, good morning, and hello, kids and cubs, and welcome to Season 5 and episode number I think it's 686 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. Do. Always 100% Canadian. Today, recording day is Monday, July 7th, 2025. And as you can tell by the sun hitting my face here, it is a lovely day here at the Beaver Lodge. I am your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver A. And not with me, as always, is my good friend, Mr. Grizzly. I don't know if he sent me something because I was busy making sure that everything was well programmed for the show, but I am going to assume that given that it was Mr. Grizzly's birthday over the course of the weekend, that he just partied it up a little too much. And perhaps he will join us a little later today. And that is okay. Because technically, I personally believe there should be a law that everybody has the day off on their own birthday. It's a personal holiday, paid holiday. But that's only because I believe that, well, for me personally, my birthday is my favorite day of the year, followed by Canada Day, because, when you're a queen, the day you decided to grace the earth with your presence should be a holiday. A big thank you goes to our podcast's founding sponsors, the Pepper Master, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and PsychicTarot.ca. We got an interesting show for you. It's not that there isn't any news in one way, but it's sort of a slower news cycle. But a lot of the news has been coming from elsewhere. There's been the terrible floods and all the missing people in Texas and people in the United States. Talking about FEMA and the National Weather Service and NOAA and cuts and all that kind of stuff. And then there's more stuff on tariffs and trade and all that kind of stuff. There's lots going on, but domestically, it's been pretty quiet. The Calgary Stampede, of course, is going on, and a lot of the politicians are there doing their things, reaching out with all the usual things that happen with the Calgary Stampede. Some people not upset, some people upset that the Liberal leader is there, some people not. Provincial leaders there. Doug Ford was there the other day, signed a deal with Danielle Smith. So there's lots going on in certain sense, but there really hasn't been that much news, so much so that stories about the Prime Minister's alleged propensity for winking, I believe there was a full 4 times that was documented. So yeah, obviously it's a rampage. This behavior must cease. But stories like that fill the papers, and yet another editorial from Rick Bell that had a lot of people in the press, pointing out, haven't we read this story, exact story, same story, with different words about like 100 different times already. So, like I said, when journalists are finding time to comment about the work of other journalists, the- it's a slower news cycle, but doesn't mean it's a less entertaining one. Oh no. My mental health is doing very well today. I'm, kids and cubs. I am like naturally positive and optimistic, and I've been like willing myself to be positive and optimistic. As you know, my summer has been rather uneventful due to a broken foot, and the way that it broke, taking needing a little extra time to heal. So I still have not been on the tennis courts since mid-May, and I miss it like crazy. And I'm finally good enough to be walking on like grass and unstable ground, let's say, uneven ground, I should say. So enough to have gotten in the garden and done a little bit of weeding, which was got completely overgrown and the entire time I've not been able to go in, so spent a lot of time doing that, over the course of the weekend, which, is good for the soul, getting your hands in the dirt a little bit, but, um, yeah, it's not easy, I'm bored a lot, even though, like, there's a lot of news and whatnot. I mean, there's only so much news you can listen to in a day before your eyes start to glaze over, and, so, limited range and all that kind of stuff, but that has improved, because I can now, walk far enough to actually get to a bus stop to go downtown, which is something I did on Friday, only to run, like, 2 little errands, and, I'm still slow enough because I left at 4:30 in the afternoon, and got back around 8 in the evening. Now, this time I have to say, however, I did not bus there and I did not bus back. I did all of it, on foot and with crutches. So I traveled a great distance, several, kilometers. Now, I'm not crutching, uh like, and putting all my weight on my body, and none of my foot this time. I'm able to crutch and put a foot down and put the other foot down and whatnot, so I'm able to go faster. Not as fast as I normally walk, but fast enough to not make a walk downtown, uh, to downtown from where I am seem like a a daunting task, an insurmountable task, let's put it that way. But it takes time. So, I went to pick up, I was going to pick up some medications at the pharmacy and stuff like that. So, you know, I went and I got there. And since I was there, I needed to stop at the local bulk barn to pick up a couple of things to cook, which is a little further away. So it was like, get to the pharmacy and it's sort of like, okay, I'm pooped now. So I think I'm going to stop here and next door and have a little something to drink and then take a half hour and then go down to the bulk barn. And I'm pooped now. I think I'm going to stop here and have a piece of cake. So yeah, the trip took about 4 hours in the end, but it was the longest and furthest I've been away from home. So that's good. But it's been tough. I've been a little, especially in the last few days, a little uh, morose, I guess the word would be, um, uh, at unexpected times. Just because I would like to be out there doing something beautiful, sunshine and all that kind of stuff, and there's not much I can do. We even thought about going to the local pool, uh, for a bit, and and then the thought of, like, a whole bunch of kids jumping all over and then maybe like hitting my foot and then me trying to actually move my foot in the water because I was trying to do that and I thought that that might be good for it, but it's still not healed enough that I can move my foot fast enough to flap. So all I would be able to do is just hang on the edge and sort of, so again, not particularly interesting, especially in a crowd of people when it's really hot. So, yeah, I've I've been a little bored. I have to say the boredom has been getting to me. Um, but I have a wonderful beaver sweetie who is doing his best to try to provide me with some distractions and entertainment. And last night we went out for a lovely dinner at the Lone Star. and had some fajitas and dined outside al fresco, and and we made a slow evening of it rather than just going in and getting out. That was nice, and I enjoyed that very much. And so yesterday, with the weeding in the garden and doing that at night, it was a bit of a fuller day. But yeah, I'm uh, anybody who's been laid up for a long while, I'm sure you know what I mean. That the boredom can sometimes get to you. But I today am feeling pretty good and chipper. So hopefully that mood will last with me throughout the entire day. I do have a lot of stuff to do. So, maybe today will have a little less boredom to it. Every day I wake up and I think, hey, you know what? If today has a little less boredom than the day before, I'm doing better. And that's the way I'm measuring it. But I have dips now and then. I do. All right. Yeah, exactly. Kid Saucy. This is the experience of many disabled people. The community is not designed for them. Yeah, I hear it. I hear you loud and clear. Like I said, for me, it's temporary, right? Once my foot is better, I rejoin my regularly scheduled life. But yeah, I have to say, I think a little bit of it also just happening over my birthday and Canada Day, which are my two favorite days of the year, and also being limited for those, probably had a lot to do with it as well. Because I was a little bummed out on specifically on Canada Day, this particular cycle of being happy and bummed out a bit, and happy and being bummed out a bit. Um, Started on Canada Day. On the upside, though, because I can weight bear, I can kind of dance in my living room and in my kitchen a little more when I'm doing some tasks and playing some music and dancing along. No matter how morose I am, all I have to do is just start dancing for a little bit. And for me, dance is joy, and the smile comes back to my face in pretty much no time at all. So yes, and I see that people are talking about power going out and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, we had that going on Friday too. I was doing some work and, well, actually, I was doing some work while watching Wimbledon, and then the power went out. It's like, oh, come on, man, just before a tiebreaker. Jeez. Yeah, it's life. Kits and Cubs, we have a show for you today. Um, As you can see by the title and the episode description, had a little bit of alliteration going on today. Um, Pancakes, Peril, Poilièvre, Pandering, Pandering at peak energy. Um, let's get into it. Um, it started The slow news cycle started a little bit on Friday with the National Post having an article, like a full article, about the Prime Minister's winking. Allegedly, this is from Joseph Breen, and the title's "Mark Carney has a winking habit. Could it grow as stale as Justin Trudeau's novelty socks?" I And my whole thing was like, "Can we please have some actual journalism here?" And, um, I didn't read it on the day at all, but then heard more stories about it and whatnot, because people, of course, write stories about the stories now, and a report on that, as we are doing right now, I guess. So yes, apparently, they think it might be a winking problem, and is it dangerous for him to be doing it, especially around Donald Trump? Will he catch on? What does the wink mean? Is it just a facial tick, or is there a message there? And listen, I don't see why trees had to die for this to be totally possible. To be totally, sorry, honest with you on this one. Um, but yeah, they're I mean, it goes into a whole bunch of things. There's even a section here is that winks have been admitted as criminal evidence. However, such in the 2017 Montreal case of undercover police agents who testified about getting a 101 course in robbery of shopping mall jewelry stores from the suspected culprit that was so convincing, so finely detailed that the undercover officer asked whether the suspect had ever actually robbed the Target store he was describing in the Carrefour Laval. The accused laughed, winked, and said no, which the undercover took as an implicit admission that the accused had indeed robbed the store in the past. So, again, just, basically saying that a wink can mean the opposite of what was just said or whatnot. So going into all the things that a wink can mean and all that kind of stuff. Not particularly serious, not particularly deep reporting here, but trying to uh, basically say, could this be a risky behavior that can get him to trouble someday? Ugh, whatever. And then the next one that came along was about pancakes and pancake clipping. And even though it is silly and it is dumb, we are going to talk about it a little bit because it reveals a few things, I have to say, about our leaders. Now, the first thing that happened is that the CBC decided to publish that was from Bill Graveland of the Canadian Press. And the title of it caught the attention of a lot of people. Is this particularly necessary? So, as you see the title, Splat! Prime Minister Carney struggles to flip perfect pancake at Calgary Stampede. Why is this news? This is not news. The struggle to flip a pancake is not news. Now, of course, in politics, as you know, kits and cubs, there are many times where politicians go out and do things, and it doesn't really work out for them. And for some reason, it creates, you know, the image sort of becomes symbolic. So the most famous one was Robert Stanfield, with the football. He had caught many of them, but there was one that he sort of fumbled, and there was a picture caught of that one, and that's the one that went around, and it became symbolic of his governance. If you're of a certain age, you might remember the time that Gilles Duceppe went to a cheese factory and he was wearing the hairnet, right? And that because he looked a little silly in it, and that picture went around, and for some reason, that on a slower news day, and that one caught the attention. You'll remember the picture of Stephen Harper with the leather vest and cowboy hat that was not flattering at all. And then that went all over the place. Well, today, or not today, this weekend, there was reporting about the Prime Minister being at the Calgary Stampede and flipping some pancakes. And it's not going well at first. So the story starts off with Prime Minister Carney may be a deft hand. Daft is completely different. Let's try that again. Prime Minister Mark Carney may be a deft hand when it comes to handling finances, but he proved Saturday that his flapjack flipping could use some work. Carney attended a pancake breakfast Saturday hosted by the United Brotherhood of Carpenters, which attracted a crowd of about 200 people. The grill's hot, Carney told onlookers. You guys ready? And then came all the things having to do with flipping the pancake here. And I've got a little bit of yes, it's a bit of a montage of things that happened. If you look on the CPAC channel on YouTube, there's about a 5-minute clip that shows things uninterrupted. And you can see the flow back and forth conversation between the Prime Minister and the people there. And, you get a more fulsome um, take or impression of how the event went. So this one has elements of the morning sort of strung together, but I'm going to show it to you because there's something very interesting that happens in terms of the Prime Minister's ability to carry himself. As you know, kids and cubs, um, in every public figure's life, at some point, there's going to come a moment where things are not going to go well. They're going to try something in public and they will fail, right? And it's not about the failure or the success at being able to do the thing, it's how you handle yourself, right? And handling yourself when you're successful usually is a little easier, even though there are some sore winners. But handling yourself when you happen to have a failure in public. How you do that kind of reveals a lot about you. So, we're going to show you the prime minister, and then later on we're going to show you some clips of Pierre when he was talking about certain things, and he does address this, and we see how two people handle a similar situation. So this here is images from the Canadian press. Like I said, a bit of a montage. If you're listening on audio, it's going to sound a little disjointed. We'll come back and we'll explain more, and hopefully you will get the idea. So, kids and cubs, here it is, the Prime Minister at the Calgary Stampede attempting to flip pancakes.
Management. You can pancake, you can flip. Oh, there you go. Oh, that's not it. That's not. I was better in Ottawa. There you go. I'm gonna do another one.
Okay, so you hear a lady in the back saying, you got to wait a minute, you got to wait a minute. The Prime Minister's first mistake is, of course, if you're looking at the top of the pancakes, they hadn't started bubbling yet before he tried to flip the first one. And the edges hadn't browned a little bit. So, of course, he flipped it, and the other side was too liquid, and so it splattered all over the place. The pancakes are not landing necessarily totally face down. And of course, there's always a rule about the first pancake, right? Now, the video won't show this, but the Prime Minister then took those two pancakes off the grill and said, these two are mine. I'm not going to make anybody eat those. So, showing a little bit of a sense of humor. Let's go on.
Okay, I'm practicing. I got a little cocky there. There we go. Hey, there you go. Finally. Not bad. Aren't you getting like 6 out of 10? Huh? 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10. You have to go find your GA. Finally. Did you stop filming before that one happened? No. There are certain things in my job I'm better at. I'm better at Eggo waffles. You want the big Ottawa flip?
Better is always possible.
Can we just edit some of those images away?
I hear you have.
So for those who are wondering when he says the big Ottawa flip, what happened, because if you're just listening, is that he was flipped the pancake and then tried to catch it on the spatula. So really going for not just letting it fall on the grill. And while it did hit the spatula, didn't perfectly catch it. And that's where you got the, oh, happening. All right. So of course you see there's, he's making jokes. I'm better at Eggo waffles. And, I'm better at, in the whole clip goes, I'm better at waffles actually, because it's a more technical process. I'm better at Eggo waffles. And then of course the big Ottawa flip, because on Canada Day, there are some images of him flipping a pancake that look actually rather spectacular, of him doing a really good job at it. So I guess that's why he went there and, said, oh, I was a little cocky on that one, thought I would get it right, did it better in Ottawa. But he's taking this in stride and making jokes about himself and laughing. Now, the next little bit has a little bit with Danielle Smith here.
I hear you have a little work to do on your flipping.
I do. Well, look, there's video evidence. I'm not going to deny it.
Should we do a flip off?
No. I don't think. I'm going to. Daniel, it's all about comparative advantage. You're better.
I love it.
It's not going to let you do it.
His Pierre's eventually, but I don't think you'll vote that one.
I didn't get in by it. After I called the by-election, everything, you should be out there in Battle River.
Anyway, Prime Minister, good to see you. Enjoy your time.
All right,
good to see you. Take care.
All right. So the thing about this that pleases me here is that clearly we have a prime minister who is capable of laughing at himself. He's capable of making a mistake in public and just rolling with it and making some jokes and making light of it. Right. And again, that's something I look for in someone, because when you compare and contrast to Pierre Poilievre, it always seems to be it's time for the hour of dour. Somebody who can maintain his humor does matter. So the article goes on to explain a little bit what's going on here. Sizzling on a black flat top griddle, Carney slid his spatula under the first hotcake and flipped it, landing with a splat. In an attempt to redeem himself, he tossed a second into the air, but it too landed lopsided and sent batter splatters into the crowd. Batter splatters, I like that. Quote, I was better in Ottawa, Carney joked. Got a little cocky there. I'll take responsibility. Sliding the 2 pancake mishaps to the side, Carney said, These are mine. I'm not making anyone eat these. The Prime Minister asked if anyone had watched The Galloping Gourmet, a cooking show that aired from the late 1960s and the early 70s. Quote, he'd be like, here's one I made earlier, said Carney, taking a perfectly made pancake and placing it on the griddle. So again, right? A good sense of humor. One onlooker told the Prime Minister, you're even worse at flipping pancakes than Trudeau. He goes, there's certain things at my job I'm better at, Carney quipped. I'm better at eating pancakes. I'm better at Eggo waffles. The Prime Minister shook hands and took photos with many people attending the breakfast. He also ran into Alberta Premier Danielle Smith, who took part in some pancake flipping earlier this week with Calgary Mayor Jyoti Gondek. The Premier's here. I love your blue hat. It looks like you've got a whole collection, Carney said, because if you look at Premier, sometimes she's wearing a blue hat, sometimes she's wearing a red hat, sometimes she's wearing a white hat. Yeah. And she goes, I do, and I can't wear the same color all the time, Smith said, but I hear you have a little work to do on your flipping skills, and that's where the latter part of the video came in there. And Carney laughing himself again, yeah, there's video evidence. I'm not going to deny it. And then she, says, do you want to go for a flip off? And it's like, well, no, it's about comparative advantage, and clearly you're better. So, like this, which of course makes her laugh. So yeah, right. We have Mark Carney laughing at himself, handling a situation, that could have turned into a PR disaster if one really wanted it to be, or if you don't handle it well, you don't handle the adversity well or something. But that wasn't the case here. So, it's going to be one day sort of ha-ha story on a slower news day. That's it. Now, kits and cubs, just for balance, here is an image of Mark Carney at Canada Day flipping pancakes. And just so people say, well, he would or he can't do it. And the image is a little fuzzy. There we go. It comes up. There's a pancake right in the air being flipped. It's going to probably land on the grill. Looks like the other side is brown enough. Doesn't seem to be any batter splatter. Seems that there's a little piece of pancake that has gone errant, but other than that, it looks pretty good. So there is documented evidence of him being able to flip a pancake, maybe just not patient enough on that specific day. However, the question then becomes, what does the other side do with that? Well, we'll get to that in a second. So that's basically the pancake flipping controversy. And controversy, if you want to put it that way. Some people tried to turn into a controversy, I guess. But then you get Pierre. And Pierre is in Calgary, which is not in Battle River-Crowfoot. But, I can understand him taking a couple of days in order to go to Calgary Stampede. After all, he does allegedly want to be Prime Minister of Canada, and there will be a lot of people there, and it's a high-profile event and all that kind of stuff. Whether or not that was the best use of his time in a pretty short by-election campaign period is up for them to decide. But again, the Calgary Stampede is one of those things that you do, it seems. So he had an event later that evening where he is talking to a crowd, and he starts the event by talking a little bit about what went on at the Stampede. So let's see how Pierre decides to he's going to take this moment and try to make something out of it. Now, Pierre attempts humor as well. I'm not going to say that the jokes are unfunny. Um, but with such matters, you always have to consider the source and the source's history. So here's a little bit of Pierre.
Thank you, Calgary. It's great to be home. It's great to be back here for the greatest outdoor show on earth. And before I begin, thank you to the amazing Damien Couric, a man for whom I will forever be grateful. Thank you, Damien. You know, there'll be more to say about him in a moment, but I did overhear him talking about my door knocking, and what he forgot to tell was his first campaign. Despite the immense lead he had, he did not want to take anything for granted. Damien was out door knocking, I think it was in Drumheller, and he wouldn't let up. It got to be 9 o'clock, it was late at night, and he kept going. And his team said, you know, it's getting to be 9:15, maybe you should think about stopping. He said, no, we got to keep on going. He wanted to win every single vote. So it got to be 9:30. The lights were starting to go out on the street, and Damien just kept on going. And finally his team said, Damien, you're going to start costing us rather than winning us votes. He said, okay, I'll make you a deal. One more vote and then I stop. He goes up to this house, lights are all off, bangs on the door. All of a sudden, babies crying. Multiple babies crying. The lights go on, they're screaming and hollering from the parents. The mother opens the door and says, you just woke up my triplets. And my husband, she says, who is an Olympic weightlifter, is going to be coming down to have a word with you. And he said, that won't be necessary, just tell him that the Liberal candidate came by to say hello.
All right. Not an unfunny joke, right? But while he's saying this, I cannot help but think, gee, maybe if you had a little more Damien Couric in you, and I know that sounds like the setup for a dirty joke, but it's not. Maybe you too would have knocked on some doors more in Carleton. It wouldn't have to be running in Battle River-Crowfoot. Maybe if you had that same dedication, you wouldn't be here today pandering for votes. So you can see he's sucking up real hard here to Damien Couric. That's only just the beginning of the pandering. Now we get to the pancakes.
How are you, Premier? Great to see Premier Danielle Smith, a champion for freedom.
More pandering.
Wow. They love you, Danielle, and I know that you're a very hospitable person at Stampede time, even for Liberals. We have to be hospitable. And so let me start in a spirit of nonpartisanship as a Calgarian to welcome Prime Minister Mark Carney to his very first Stampede in this role. And he had, of course, to do the customary thing and flip some pancakes. Now, he thought he would be great at it because in his trade talks with Trump, he's had so much experience flip-flopping. But
so much for the nonpartisan.
But still, it didn't go as planned. One of the pancakes got broken in half and the other one splattered everywhere. And he owned up to it. But a careful review of a slow motion replay demonstrated exactly what the problem was. He couldn't figure out whether to put his elbows up or down.
Okay. Again, not necessarily an unfunny joke. But now, we need to consider the source. So, Pierre, it was only about 3 months ago, if I am not mistaken, that Pierre had an interesting moment of his own during the election, which resulted in him getting a lot of unwanted attention for a mistake on the campaign, and it had something to do with pizza, if you remember correctly. So here's that moment for you here, Kid Cubs, just as a little refresher.
And when we get a Canada First Conservative government, the people who make the pizza are going to get a bigger share of it, as less of it's going to be going to the government. Great to see you guys. Thank you for coming out. We need a change in this country. Put Canada first. He's hired. Got a job. Need a job. Okay. I'll throw this guy in here too.
It's just mushroom.
Ooh.
Okay, we got another one.
He's fired. He's hired. He's hired. I'm not hired. And when we get a
Now, again, he handled it with humor as well. Because for those who are not watching, in the video, he's there with his son, and basically says, "Yep, my son's hired. I'm not," when it comes to doing that. But yeah, he too. If we do a little slow motion on that, we might be able to see the exact moment and what his elbows were doing when he dropped the pizza. So here's the thing: it's if you have recently dropped a pizza, like about 3 months ago, and it was a moment that got a lot of attention on your campaign, maybe you want to keep your mouth shut about other people's failures at flipping pancakes. Because all it does is invite people to then go ahead and say, "Oh yeah, remember this?" And this seems to be a common problem with the conservatives, right? It's, they accuse people of doing something or they mock people for having done something, but it hasn't been that long ago since they did it themselves or they had a similar moment or they're doing it at the same time. Well, the most famous example of that is when the Prime Minister, Trudeau, at the time, took that vacation to the Aga Khan's Island, and the Conservatives made a big stink about that. But meanwhile, interim leader Rona Ambrose was on the very, 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 very big yacht of the very, very, very rich boyfriend's very, very, very rich friend. Going to an island or being on a yacht at the exact same time. But the Conservatives were pointing out the behavior of the Liberals, while their interim leader was essentially in a similarly ethically dubious position. These types of comments only really work. I mean, it works for the base. The base loved it, but only really works in terms of the general public. If you yourself are not doing it at the same time, haven't recently just done it, or doing it in a much worse manner or more frequent manner. So when the Conservatives call Liberals liars, it's not that Liberals haven't lied from time to time. It's just that the Conservatives lie all the time. So what's the point of pointing out that the other guy's lying when you do it like breathing? It doesn't earn you any advantage, except, of course, with the base, who just puts on the rosiest colored glasses when they look at you and the darkest glasses possible when looking at the other guy. But other than that, these type of comments don't play. So you can't, if you are known to be unkind, crying when somebody else is being unkind to you only gets you a limited amount of sympathy, and usually from people who see no fault in you whatsoever. Everybody else is going like, "Why are you crying? You just did this 2 weeks ago." So, right, it's not that you have a problem with lying. We know that because you do it all the time. It's not that you have a problem with people being unkind because you do that all the time, right? You just have a problem with people that are not on your team doing it. So, again, Had Pierre not had the pizza moment on that campaign, that probably would have played better as a moment. But he did. So now he just looks like a guy. Oh, yes. I remember when you couldn't flip a pizza, but when the other guy can't flip a pancake, it's funny to make a joke about it. Okay. And that juxtaposition gives you a sense of the two men. One who attempts to flip a pancake, doesn't do well, laughs at himself. Right? And probably will not mention Pierre's pizza event because the Prime Minister, unlike me, is not petty. But I am. I'm a petty old queen. But Pierre, having had that pizza moment, rather than just whistling by the pancake moment, decided to use it to make some jokes while claiming he was not going to be partisan. Okay. If that's what you think nonpartisan looks like, okay. Now, of course, it's gentle ribbing. We can't get too emotionally invested in this. But exactly, Kit Linda, I can't believe that we even have to talk about pancake flipping in this timeline. I'm agreeing. I'm agreeing with you. Kid PNC Bio, I'm shocked that the banker is not a useful line cook. I can't believe anyone entertained the idea that this man could run the country. Yes, indeed. Play-by-play of pancake flipping. I'm reduced to this. Oh, man, oh, man, oh, man. So, but let's get into the additional pandering. Because, yeah, Pierre didn't stop just with pandering with Damien Kirk and pandering to Danielle. And, of course, this whole campaign is him pandering. You see pictures of him all over the place, trying to ingratiate himself. But the entire time he has Damien Kirk opening doors for him, right? He's basically riding Damien Kirk's good reputation in the riding and hoping that will rub off on him. So with, Damien Kirk going to all the doors and like knocking, say, hey, this is my boss, Pierre. Right? Well, no, I guess my former boss, Pierre, now that he's resigned his seat, I guess. Not sure. Not sure why he's still on the campaign specifically. I mean, I get it in one sense, but there's no need for him to be there or to try to be a player. He's not an MP anymore. He's resigned his seat. I mean, Pierre's a national name. It's not like he should be much harder than Pierre was even willing to campaign for himself in his own riding in Carleton. Ouch. So let's go on with Pierre here and listen to a couple of more minutes of what he had to say at the address at the Calgary Stampede. Now, of course, there's one extra line in that article, Splat, that was particularly interesting and telling. So after the part where it says, he also ran into Alberta Premier Daniel Smith, who took part in some pancake flipping earlier this week with Calgary Mayor Jyoti Gondek. The premiere's here. I love your blue hat. It looks like you've got a whole collection, Carney said. I do, and I can't wear the same color all the time, Smith said, but I hear you have a little work to do on your flipping skills. I do, Carney replied. There's video evidence. I'm not going to deny it. And the next line in the article is, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre was also attending the breakfast, but waited in his vehicle until Carney left. Oh, read into that one what you want, kids and cubs. But to me, that's particularly telling. They're both there. They're both at the same time. Why wouldn't you get out of your car, I guess, and go up to him, interact with him, show that you can human? He sat in his car and waited until the Prime Minister left before he went and flipped pancakes of his own. Couldn't flip pancakes side by side. Oh no. Carney might get into my shot. Is this my best side? Carney and I might have to speak side by side or to each other, and it might become obvious how much more intelligent he is than I am, or better with people he is than I am. Oh, again, the Prime Minister said it is about comparative advantage. So while the Prime Minister didn't want to have a pancake flip-off against Danielle Smith, he certainly had no problem being seen side by side with her and chatting with her and conversing with her. Pierre probably would have loved the opportunity to a pancake flip-off with Carney so that he can stunt. I'm better at flipping pancakes. That's the criteria for making me Prime Minister. But didn't seem to want to have the comparative visual of him right next to Mark Carney in any other capacity. That's telling. To me, that's telling. So here we are, kids and cubs, here back to the speech here, and we're going to see a little more pandering here. I think the couple of next seconds are him pandering once again to Damien Carrick, because as you know in those first remarks, he did say, well, we'll be talking a little bit more about him later, and I think this is the part, yes. Now, he leads this part in this part, he's talking about a story about Damien Carrick here, and he says, the story that touches me most about him and Danielle. Okay, so this is supposed to be a story about Damien Carrick and Danielle Smith. Let's see if it lives up to the billing.
Him and Danielle was about a year ago. His father passed away unexpectedly right in the middle of the harvest, and they have 6,000 acres that they had to bring home. And if you can imagine, making arrangements and mourning such a loss in the middle of the harvest was a big problem. They didn't know how they were going to bring home the crop. Then all of a sudden, there were these combines that just appeared from all directions on one morning. And they fanned out into the fields, and they brought home the crop and dropped it in the bins and went back to their farms to do their jobs. And that really is the story of Alberta, isn't it?
I'm not sure what Danielle Smith's role in the story was, but apparently this was a heartwarming story about Damien Carrick and Danielle. But it seems to be more of a heartwarming story about the good people of Alberta who came to help. I wonder why he framed it that way. If he wasn't sucking up, let's keep going.
It was a harvest in more than one way. It was a harvest of the crop that had been planted, but also a harvest of all the friendships that had been built over so many years. But the Alberta way didn't require a government program or a grant or an application to come to the rescue in a time of difficulty, because that's not how Albertans work. They get up, they get it done, they do what's right, they help a neighbor, and when they're done, they don't expect any thank you. They go back to doing their business and caring for their families. That's what it means to be an Albertan. That's the spirit of the stampede, the spirit of free enterprise, personal responsibility, communities coming together, neighbors helping each other. It's about remembering where you come from so you know where you're going. But that is also the story of Canada. And on the topic of Canada, we know that there can only be a strong Canada when there is a strong and respected Alberta.
So, some additional pandering to Damien Carrick and a lot of sucking up to Alberta in there. I also noticed in the first part of the remarks, he says, as a Calgarian, and a lot of people in Battle River-Crowfoot would suggest that he hasn't been a Calgarian for a long while. Now, again, some people can make the same claim, of course, of the Prime Minister when he says, I grew up in Edmonton, but I'm not sure he walks around saying, as an Edmontonian, in his speeches. So Pierre is, again, doing that chameleon thing that he's putting on the skin of whatever group it is that he is trying to impress today. Here, there's one last little bit. I'm trying to keep the Poilièvre to a minimum here because I understand that just the sight and sound of him can be triggering for some. But he goes on for just another minute and a half here. And this gives the impression when he was talking about, Danielle Smith there, great premier, working for freedom and all this kind of stuff, such leadership. Wow. This next minute and a half, I'm wondering basically, did Danielle Smith's staff this minute insert it into the speech? Take a listen and you tell me what you think.
And if elected in Battle River-Crowfoot, I'll use the platform of Leader of the Opposition to amplify the legitimate demands of Western Canada to end the unfair treatment. The era of Ottawa telling Alberta to pay up and shut up must end once and for all. But the answer is alliances. We need to build alliances with other provinces that share our destiny and our interests. Let's build an alliance with British Columbians who want to ship liquefied natural gas off of our Pacific coast to Asia and bring home hundreds of billions of dollars in paychecks doing it. Let's build alliances. Let's build alliances with Saskatchewanians and Newfoundlanders and Labradorians who want to develop their oil and gas and aren't interested in having anyone in Ottawa cap how much they can produce. Let's build alliances with Manitobans who want to ship oil out of the port of Churchill. Let's build alliances, yes, let's build alliances with Quebec and other provinces that want to decentralize our country and get Ottawa out of our business so that provinces and people can make their own decisions.
Okay. Yep, that sounded to me like that part of that was written by Danielle Smith. And what's this our thing he's talking about? See, that's the thing with Pierre, right? Whenever he says our, you always have to ask, who does he mean by our? Because here he clearly does not mean all Canadians, doesn't mean all Conservatives. I mean, he's like, can we get out of our business as Albertans? It's like, again, there's a lot of people that are wondering when's the last time you actually have been an Albertan. It's a valid question. It's a salient question here. But yeah, not again, just some. There's just an. I don't want to say icky because this is, it's not gross. It's there's just a certain shamelessness here. There's other ways that you could talk about these subjects without trying to put yourself as like, I'm one of you. But this is his way of doing things, right? He tries to become what people want him to be rather than finding within himself who he is. This and this being that and hoping that that will come to him. And that's what I'm noticing in these moments when I look at him and I look at Prime Minister Carney. Mark Carney is always Mark Carney. It's the same Mark Carney we see. And there's no disconnect between Mark Carney the man and Mark Carney the banker and Mark Carney the politician. It's consistent and over time. Now, in all fairness, as a politician, we've only seen Mark Carney for a certain number of months, and we've had 20 years of Pierre Poilievre. But with Pierre Poilievre, there really is this feeling that he shapeshifts to try to become what he thinks that people in the moment want him to be, rather than just being himself. The dickishness is authentic. It's about the only consistent thing about him. But everything else, when he uses our and we, it keeps on changing who's included in our and we. And just, the overall like face that he tries to present, it shifts a lot. We see in the campaign, we saw, just the sheer number of makeovers, right? Just the sheer number of makeovers alone are enough to give you that impression. So, yeah, not the most impressive stuff. Now, there's been a couple of other things circulating with regard to Pierre and the Conservatives with regard to how things have been handled over the course of the week and how things went for him. There is, I am going to say, rumor, because I have not been able to corroborate it specifically myself, but it does seem like something. Well, how would I put it? I trust this person's take on it because otherwise I wouldn't mention it. But it would seem that Pierre Poilievre cut the price of admission to his barbecue by 50% from $200 a ticket to $100 a ticket at some point. And then this person, it's at GT Lem, also mentioned that in his opinion, it should have been a free event, sort of like Ford Fest. However, for Pierre to cut the price in half is quite telling. There was also, apparently, when the Prime Minister was there at the Stampede, that there was some booing and some people getting really upset. Apparently, the MSM doesn't want to report that Carney was loudly booed by the crowd at the Stampede. Well, I read one article, just one, about the Prime Minister at the Stampede, and it did mention that he was booed. Now, also, some people yahooed. I think the person on the mic at the Stampede, of course, because it's a family event and it's a community event and it's not there to build animosity. There were boos and like this and goes, there were some yahoos there. But this is someone clearly blue checkmark account going like this. Oh my God, the press doesn't want to report. Well, like I said, I read just one report and it was reported there that there were some boos. But then again, right? Think about it. It's a Liberal Prime Minister in Alberta at Stampede. When are there not some boos? When, anytime since 1979, had there not been booze if a Liberal Prime Minister would show up at the stampede somewhere? Maybe the MSM is not making a big deal of it because it's not news. It happens every damn time. Every damn time. It's sort of like reporting that Quebec is not all that happy that Queen Elizabeth was coming to town. Well, yeah, Quebec separatists don't want to have any relationship to the British monarchy. Of course, they're not happy when she comes to town. It's not news, right? It's color that you can add to a report, which was done, but it's not the story. I mean, unless the entire crowd was like booing, right? No matter who was there, whether they be conservative, liberal, whether they be from Alberta, out of the town, yeah, that would be one thing. But a couple people through the crowd booing, why would that make news? But yes, there were some boos. And then Pierre then had some pictures at his on his feed about his conservative stampede barbecue here. And again, he couldn't, how would I put it? I couldn't resist being petty again. Because I don't know, this man draws it out of me somehow. You know what? It's not him that draws it out of me, but it's the way that he phrases things to paint himself in the best light possible. And what you need to swallow in order to believe that it can be true in his expectation that you will do it. And again, he's not expecting that I would do it. I'm not his base. This is clearly for domestic consumption. And when I say domestic consumption in this case, I mean clearly for the base. But here he is saying 1,200 strong at our conservative stampede barbecue, and every one of them ready to do the hard work of making sure our movement backs Canadians. Conservatives will never stop fighting for the families, farmers, workers, and small business owners who are the backbone of Canada. And now, normally, I would doubt his 1,200 number because during the course of the election campaign, we did note, and it was noted by a lot of people, that he seems to inflate his crowd sizes. But given that the Calgary Stampede is a huge event, it would not surprise me if there were actually that many people in Alberta that would want to come to spend a little time there at that type of an event. So I'm not going to doubt the number, although I would appreciate a fact check if that an independent fact check if that was possible. But I'm not going to quibble on the number. The part that I'm going to quibble with here again is the statement, and every one of them ready to do the hard work of making sure our movement backs Canadians. And I'm sitting there and I am reading this and I'm thinking, oh, darn. Well, they must have been so disappointed because you've already shown that you're not willing to do that same work. I mean, you're ready to work for yourself, but I'm not particularly sure that being ready to do the hard work of making sure your movement backs Canadians. And the way you say Canadians, like you mean all of them? You're not ready to do that work. They must have been really, really let down after meeting you. But hey, maybe next week will be better for your shug. Keep trying. I know. I'm just a petty beaver. I can't help it. Again, you got booted from your riding because you didn't do the work. There's I get a whole vibe from Pierre. You know, when I see him riding in the back of the Rolls Royce, when I see him participate in parades, and he's in the car rather than on the street, walking, going to the crowd, shaking hands. When I see the picture of him standing in a mic and people on lawn chairs are listening to him, and all of them are 20 feet away. when I keep on seeing these images, him showing up at Stampede and having everybody come to the big barbecue rally, I get the impression that Pierre is expecting that you're coming there to see him. And when I look at Bonnie Critchley, for example, who's in her truck all the time, logging the miles, going to all the various little communities, she's going to meet people where they are. But him, it's like, hey, I'm going to be in this parade. Come see me. It just gives off a whole, well, it's a pleasure of you to have me here vibe to it, rather than it's a pleasure for me to be here to meet you. How wonderful it must be for you to meet me. There's a certain, there I get a certain ickiness from him. Yeah. So it's not about people coming out of their way to meet you, Pierre, so that you can brag about your crowd sizes again. Helpful hint. Don't do it with a female reporter when you've had a bad night. Just saying. But the hard work is going out and meeting the people. When the Prime Minister was joking with Danielle, well, like, it's like I even called the by-election early for him. Why isn't he in Battle River-Crowfoot? Right? Why is he here? Instead, it's a salient question. It's a salient question. Now, of course, Pierre is going to get much more press and get a lot more visibility being at the Calgary Stampede because it is the big event and all the press is there rather than a small event. But he's not knocking on the doors in the writing where he needs the votes. The hard work that he's talking about, all these people that are there to do, ready to do and eager to do. He doesn't seem particularly willing to do it himself, and he doesn't seem to be particularly willing to do it alone or take some initiative. He'll only knock on a door if Damien's opening it up for him. Right? He'll show up at the parade where everybody's going to come. That way he gets, a lot of people get to see him at once and say, okay, he's been here, but he doesn't get out of the car during the parade and press some flesh. He holds a big event where he's standing on a stage with the mic, probably no opportunity for questions. He's happy to talk at you, just not sure he's happy to talk with you. There have been some stories. I hope I could find it. It was a lady named Mira that was talking about her experience having seen Pierre in her writing. And she had basically said, it was the middle of the afternoon and people were there, weren't at home. And Pierre was knocking. And so they took some moments. She saw it from her window, apparently, that he was staging photo moments with the people he was there already with to make it look like he was having a successful day of campaigning and actually meeting people. Which, again, is very telling. I mean, it's like he needs to get the shot no matter what. Whether the people are there or not, and if the people are not there, he will stage it. It's not, again, the overall lack of authenticity is the issue here with this guy. There is another image that keeps going around with him as well, and it's him riding a horse. There's a banner on the back of the horse with his name, Pierre Poilievre. And again, petty beaver that I am, it's like, at least there's some truth in advertising there. The banner Pierre Poilievre close to a horse's ass. I'm going to have some tea. Sorry. I know. I should be better. I should be better than this, but I'm not. What can I say? I own it. Oh my God, Pierre. But yeah, I mean, staging his own photos when there's nobody at home that he can get pictures of himself interacting with, just the people he's there with already. His door knocking team taking pictures with them and passing them off as, hey, I'm out there doing the hard work of meeting people. Yeah, again, this is another one. Why is his hat so big? Reminds me of Spaceballs. And again, there was more comments about that too. It says, with each passing day, his hat gets a little bit bigger. And again, I just couldn't help myself. And I'm thinking, good, maybe someday it'll be so big that it will cover his face and mouth. I know. I should be better. I should be better. Oh, man. Oh, well. Let's keep going. Then there was this other moment of pandering, and it's directly related to this story that I am going to bring you here. And so it seems that we're shifting to Danielle Smith a bit, and we are, but you will see when after I read the story to you and show you the next image, how it is that Pierre just cannot stop pandering at all in any way. And it's getting actually a little embarrassing for him. But as you know, Danielle Smith, human bulldozer that she is, has been told no on mining for coal on the side of a mountain, and seems like she's going to go with it anyway. And she's been told no very emphatically about a CPP, and it seems that she's going to go ahead with it. And she's been told no emphatically about an independent police agency, provincially one that sort of reports to her. And well, it seems that she went ahead with it anyway. Even though she said she would subject that to a referendum, she decided, well, people don't seem to be all that keen on the idea. So we're just going to kill that referendum idea, and I'm just going to impose it on you. I'm just going to climb all on top over you like this, hold you down, and make sure that you take it. And I'm going to tell you you're going to like it. It's very, very abusive. But this is from Cindy Tran of the Edmonton Journal. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith has announced the formal creation of an independent agency police service along with the name of its new chief. At a press conference on Wednesday, Smith said Calgary Police Service Deputy Chief Sat Pahar has been appointed as the first chief of the new police agency, which will be renamed to the Alberta Sheriff's Police Service. And if you're looking at the acronym, that's ASPS. And for those who may not know it, or may not be familiar with the word, ASP, singular, so ASPs, plural, well, this is an asp, ladies and gentlemen. It is a snake. Some people don't think things through. I'm just saying. Asps. Oh boy. She said the agency will operate as an independent Crown corporation with its head office located in Calgary. Quote, the Alberta Sheriff's Police Service is not meant to replace the RCMP or any other police service, Smith said. It will work alongside existing branches of law enforcement to fill gaps and ensure that resources are used efficiently, and just like most other police services in the province, it will be run separately from the government with civilian oversight. I'll believe that one when it lasts. The announcement follows Bill 49, the Public Safety Statutes Amendment Act 2025, which passed this in the spring sitting of the legislature. Under the legislation, municipalities will be able to choose whether or not they want to select the new police agency as their local police service once it becomes operational. Public Safety and Emergency Services Minister Mike Ellis said the province is still ironing out the details when it comes to staffing the new agency, but said there's been interest from retired police officers to potentially fill the roles. Now, again, she says it will not replace the RCMP, but for some reason, municipalities have to choose whether or not they want to select the new police agency as their local police or have the RCMP. Well, it cannot replace the RCMP's, what the RCMP does federally. Yes, but the portion of the RCMP that is contracted out to provide provincial services or municipal services in smaller communities, well, yes, it would replace. It would free up the RCMP there to be able to do more of the other stuff, right? If we're talking about not duplicating, but it is for local policing, it would replace the RCMP. So she's not being completely and totally honest there. I'm fully optimistic that within the next several months that we should be able to work this out, said Public Safety and Emergency Services Minister Mike Ellis. In the spring, Ellis said the province has already identified roughly 600 people within the Alberta sheriffs that, with appropriate training, could become police officers. Those 600 sheriffs would then be moved to the new police agency service separate from the Alberta sheriffs. Smith said there are currently more than 2,000 sheriffs categorized as peace officers who do prisoner transports and other specialized services. Of the 2,000, she said 650 are trained up at a level where they could be categorized as police. Quote, and again, I would like a fact check on that. Quote, we already have a couple of expressions of interest of municipalities that want a sheriff's detachment, and so we can start now. We're not waiting. We want to make sure that everybody feels they've got the policing that they need close to home. And if sheriffs are one of the options that they want to pursue, we're happy to work with them on it, Smith said. The province did not say what the cost would be to fund the new agency. So, Alberta just reported an $8.3 billion surplus. And even though it's hard to get hospital care, and even though she still needs to claw back money from AIHS recipients, disability support payment recipients, and even though she's got to raise the costs of prescriptions by $1 a year for the next 10 years, and all the other things that she's taking away from Albertans, apparently they have money for this additional police service. New bureaucracy, new training, everything. Okay. I mean, she could use that money to actually help people, but she's got other plans. The province did not say what the cost would be to fund the new agency. Smith pointed to Ottawa, because of course she did, who she said indicated that it is rethinking RCMP responsibilities and may change them when the police services agreement ends in 2032. Alberta NDP Public Safety and Emergency Services critic David Shepherd said the NDP does not disagree that there needs to be action to address crime in rural communities, but he said this is not the solution. Quote, whatever they want to call it, the Independent Agency Police Service, the Alberta Sheriff's Police Service, it's a provincial police force. They stood today and they claim this is not about replacing the RCMP. Well, frankly, that's about as believable as the Premier's claims that she's not trying to stoke Alberta separatism, Shepherd said. By the way, great constituency MP. Parhar will be engaging, Parhar, which is the new person that will be heading this service here, this new service, will be engaging with communities in his new role to see what they want. He said he does not intend to compete with cities like Calgary or steal from one to get to another. I want people to make these choices because they want to try something new or they want to do something different. That comes with building a good culture, building a good human resource kind of structure that lets us bring in the right people that are going to actually treat all Albertans equally, Pahar said. Again, bring in the right kind of people that are actually going to treat all Albertans equally. I'm guessing that the suggestion there might be that the current police service is not. Maybe I'm reading too much into that. But anyway, Danielle decided she was going to press ahead regardless when it comes to this, even though the overwhelming majority of the province has said that they do not want this. And, well, in the Calgary Stampede Parade, this image of Pierre Poilievre was captured. And a lot of people are wondering, what the hell is all of this about? So if you see here, you have, whoops, sorry, the sharing of the screen did not work very well. Let's try this one more time. There you go. You see Pierre Poilievre and Evita on horseback, and Pierre is wearing a blue shirt with a white cowboy hat, not backwards this time, and for some reason he's wearing a sheriff's badge. Why is Pierre Poilievre wearing a sheriff's badge if he's not sucking up to Danielle Smith yet again? It seems that he is letting her know that he clearly approves of this move. So again, when I look at that minute and a half of that speech where it says, Ottawa has to get out of our way and we're going to make alliances with British Columbia. We're going to make alliances with, it sounds very similar to what Mark Carney says, except with Mark Carney wanting to make his alliances internationally, right? With other. But Alberta, it sounds very much that he's doing the separatist Alberta thing there, that Alberta needs to make alliances with all these provinces so it can stand on its own without any interference from Ottawa. And then he's in a parade wearing a sheriff's badge. It really, really seems that he's trying to suck up to Danielle Smith. And he's trying to send signals that he actually is pro-Alberta separation, until they elect him at least. Then we'll see if he changes. But that he's pro-Alberta separation without actually saying the words, I'm pro-Alberta separation. Just little things that I keep on noticing. He's not running for sheriff. There's no need for, these are the people that got upset with Trudeau's hair and Trudeau's socks, and particularly Trudeau's trip to India, where he's wearing all those costumes. And, there are pictures of Pierre holding a Coors Light in his hands, wearing a cowboy hat backwards. And now he's wearing a sheriff's badge. New sheriff's in town. Ha ha. Just, again, cosplay, pandering. Cosplay, pandering. It's, again, a little disturbing when you think about it. Now, one of the nicer moments, again, if you're petty, like I am, with regard to this, was a moment that took place at the rally. And this is someone, the video was captured by someone we don't like to mention or talk about on the show, but he's one of these influencers out there that is so in the bag for Poilièvre that they just say the most ridiculous things. And a couple of weeks ago, we reported that the party itself is not doing a post-mortem on their election result, but it seems that Pierre himself is calling people and asking people, like, so tell me what I did right and what I did wrong. And I'm sure that was somebody who's petty and vindictive as Pierre, that he's getting honest feedback about what it is that he did wrong and could have done better. You don't have the party leader doing that exercise if you want to have an actual honest feedback loop. Well, it seems during the course of this, he called some of those influencers who apparently, if we are to believe them, didn't have any prior relationship. They're just doing this out of their own volition of their own heart because they believe him so much. But he got a pep talk call. Some of them got a pep talk call from him saying that Pierre really still needs their help, and thank you for all that you've been doing to help me. So this might be one of them, very pretty sure might be one of them who received them. You're going to hear his name, the name that he goes by in this. We don't want to give him much credit, but this is his video. And there's somebody here. While everybody is going to the Pierre rally, there's one person that is going the other way, leaving. And there's a reason for it. And I want you to listen to the interaction, because there's a lot of interesting things that are said here. And it's only a minute and 11 seconds. But there's a couple of interesting things that happen here and that are said here that you might want to pay attention to.
People are walking like 20 minutes to get here. Let's go. Hello, hello. I don't know.
Hey, axe the tax.
Axe the tax.
Right, good to see you.
Good to I love it. I'm happy to be here.
Hey, Cliff.
Yes.
How come you don't want to talk about me? It's kind of sad, don't you think, that I get thrown out because I'm wearing the Make Canada Great hat again?
Are you leaving?
I have to. They won't let me in with my hat, and they said I got to take it off, so you go screw yourselves.
But you can wear his shirt that says support him, and you can wear a fuck Trudeau flag. You can do all that, but you can't wear that hat.
Get this, I got a picture in my phone of me and Pierre Poilievre with me wearing my blackface Trudeau sweater and this hat, and standing beside each other having a great old time at the Agricom the last time he was here. And everything was just fucking hanky-dorky. But this time they don't want to let me in because they're getting all woke. And you know what? That's not why I came here today. I came here to try to get our country back, not for them buying into this woke bullshit.
All right, I respect it.
So I am the hell out of here.
You're going to take your hat off and join us regardless?
Nope.
Nope.
No?
Not a chance.
No, but tell me you're not going to vote Liberal now.
I'd rather fight than change.
Don't tell me you're going to vote Liberal, though. People.
Okay. There's a lot going on in that moment, kids and cubs. So, wow. They're yelling, axe the tax. He's go, yeah, axe the tax. The tax has been axed. Y'all, did you miss it? 1, 2, this guy shows up. He's wearing a Make Canada Great Again red hat. Conservatives are touchy about red hats at their rallies, so they asked him to take his hat off, because in the freest nation on earth that Pierre allegedly wants to make Canada, can't wear that hat if you're going to come at my rally. So the guy's leaving. Right? Can't believe Pierre told me I can't wear that hat. Pierre's getting too woke. That'll be some news to Pierre. But Pierre's too woke for this guy. This guy did not come for that woke bullshit. That guy came there so that he could be among fellow people who like to wear t-shirts with Trudeau in blackface on them. He have his wife going, it's like, you can have a fuck Trudeau flag and you can have all that, but you can't wear a Make Canada Great Again hat. We're leaving. I can't believe this. And this influencer there said, yeah, I understand. You sure you don't want to take that hat off and join us? The guy's in the car leaving gets your attention because he thinks that you're one of him as an influencer. Clearly you're not, because you're so in the bag for Pierre. You tried to get a guy who was pissed off, because he was asked to remove his hat. You asked him, but hey, you don't want to remove your hat and join us? Clearly he doesn't. Read the guy. You don't read the room, read the car. Yes. And then his number one concern is, but this didn't make you mad enough to vote Liberal now, I hope. I notice, again, petty beaver that I am, that this influencer did not ask the question, but that doesn't mean you're not going to vote for Pierre now, is it? Because that's an answer he may not have wanted to get on camera. Probably would have ruined the clip. Think I'll have some tea. Yum. The guy tries to get him to take off his hat and join him after immediately being told, I'm leaving because they told me I need to take off my hat and I'm going to fight this. And then his next concern is not You're not going to vote. Well, you're not going to you're not going to not vote Pierre now. It's don't tell me you're going to vote Liberal now. So this guy who was recording that had the guy turned around and said, "Yeah, screw that. I'm going to vote Liberal." You know what he would have done with that, right? Oh, he pretended he was for Pierre, but he's not. He was just a real liberal in disguise. Da 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 da. This was a setup. Liberals paid that person to be there and do that. Whatever. But the question to be asking is not in Battle River-Crowfoot or anywhere else, right? Are you going to be voting Liberal? What are the odds that people are going to be voting Liberal? Now, the Liberal candidate that they put up has very impressive credentials, no doubt about it, but that's not the point. The point is not voting Liberal, it's not voting Pierre. Is the guy not going to vote at all? Sit on his hands? Will he vote for Bonnie Critchley? Will he vote for the Alberta Republican candidate that will probably show up in that riding instead? That's what the influencers really need to be worried about. They don't need to be worried about whether someone who's going to show up at a Pierre Poilievre rally with a Make Canada Great Again hat is suddenly going to vote Liberal. The concern is whether or not they are not going to vote Pierre. But that's not the question he asked. Because I think maybe he was actually able to read the room or the car a little better than he was letting on and knew that he would not get that answer. But just goes to show you, right? Some of these influencers who allegedly are not being paid, who allegedly have never heard directly from Pierre until he gave them that little phone call saying, "Hey, I've noticed you doing all this work on my behalf and I really appreciate it. Please keep it up." Wondering if the guy that's leaving the rally because he's not allowed to wear his hat would still be willing to remove his hat and join us. Priorities. Priority was clearly not the man in that car. Now, again, the man in that car is saying that he's got photos in his phone, he alleges, we do not know that is true, of him wearing a Trudeau in blackface t-shirt, along with that Make Canada Great Again hat, standing next to Pierre, shaking hands, and everything was hanky-dorky. I don't know what hanky-dorky is, but apparently hanky-dorky instead of hunky-dory. But anyway, again, can't help but being petty, but I remember the picture of Pierre at a Stampede Pass next to a guy in a green shirt, right? With some statement about, having to do with people who are rainbow, and Pierre saying, "I didn't read the t-shirt." And then just like, if that guy actually does have a picture of himself with a blackface Trudeau t-shirt, and Pierre agreed to have a picture taken next to him, is Pierre going to say he didn't read that t-shirt either? Should that image surface? Because Trudeau in blackface, there's actually nothing to read. You can just see it and say, you know what, I can't take a picture with someone who's wearing that. But you can see the concern for the actual people, right? When Pierre is sitting there and talking about all those people that came to see him who are ready to do the hard work, the standing up or fighting for or backing Canadians or whatever term he used. When it comes to people who are unhappy with Pierre, not so much. Not so much. Oh, come on. You'd be willing to compromise yourself to come back just to join us now, would you? Not good. Not a good look. Oh, well. We'll just leave them do what they do. Now, as a contrast to this, kids and cubs, as we mentioned the other day, Bonnie Critchley got a bit of a story in the National Post the other day, and I have to say, it wasn't half terrible. This is from Rahim Mohammed. Meet the military trailblazer who's gunning for Pierre Poilievre in rural Alberta by-election. Bonnie Critchley is used to defying expectations. A trailblazer in uniform, just 17 years old when she became the second woman ever to serve as an armored crewman in her unit. She and Dad Steve later made history as the first father-daughter gunnery crew in the Canadian Armored Corps. Now, she's looking to take out Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre in one of the safest Conservative ridings in Canada, running as an independent in the upcoming Battle River-Crowfoot by-election. Critchley, who's been traversing the rural Alberta riding for about a month, says she sees a path to an upset victory over Pierre. Quote, honestly, a good result for us would be a win, Critchley told the National Post on Wednesday. Conservative Damien Carrick easily won the riding in April's election with 82% of the popular vote, announcing his intention to step aside just a few days later. Critchley said that Poilievre is starting off on the wrong foot after supplanting the just re-elected Carrick and sticking taxpayers with a hefty by-election bill. It's estimated that the cost would be anywhere between $1.7 million and $2 million in order to have this by-election, which is essentially a donation from all Canadians to the Conservative Party of Canada, if you want to look at it in really crass terms. Quote, I've been talking to a lot of small C Conservatives around here who aren't thrilled that the big C Conservatives are spending an extra $2 million on a mulligan for a guy who failed in his duty to his constituents and was fired, said Critchley. Poilievre lost his Ottawa area riding to Liberal Bruce Fanjoy by a 5-point margin in April's federal election after holding the seat for 2 decades. Critchley also says that the Calgary-born Poilievre has put off residents with early gaffes, including his clumsy attempts to appropriate Western attire and accoutrements. Whether it's the backwards cowboy hat at the Wainwright Stampede or sitting in a Rolls-Royce in Drumheller, it just hasn't landed, said Critchley. And kits and cubs, for those who had not yet, I am. Whoops. I apologize. I thought that was going to bring me an image of him, and instead it was a video. The link was a little misdirected. But yes, Pierre Poilievre in his cowboy hat backwards. I will have an image for you of that soon. But yes, right, again, it just gives you the sense of cosplay, and reinforcing the message that, he's not a local. He's not from there. Right. So hopefully I will be able to get that to you later on here, Kits and Cubs. It didn't really work for me here on this attempt. So keeping on with the article, a 20-year Army reservist who later rode her bike across Europe to raise money for veterans and first responders, Critchley has a CV that would be attractive to any major political party. She says she's running as an independent because she's grown disillusioned with partisan politics. Quote, one of the things I think we're having issues with is team politics. And for those of you who listened to the interview, that was one of the key moments of our conversation. It's my team versus your team, and it doesn't matter what my team does or says. My team is better than your team, said Critchley. She added that she finds it especially concerning when party politics prevents constituents from being properly represented, pointing to the Poilievre-Carrick switcheroo as a prime example of this problem. Critchley also says she doesn't have much time for the budding Alberta separatist movement, having fought under the Canadian flag in Afghanistan. She recalls that one of her hardest days in uniform came when she took part in a press conference announcing the combat death of a close friend in September 2007. Critchley calls herself a centrist and says that she objects to, quote, performative policies on both the left and right. She is one of many who welcomed the termination of the Liberals' consumer carbon tax, calling it more symbolic than substantive. Quote, I'm not going to offer soft, easy answers to complex questions, said Critchley. She also said that she'll work to repeal the Trudeau-era gun control laws if elected to Parliament. Critchley, who's openly queer, says she also objects to right-wing points of view on trans issues. She said that a recent Alberta court injunction stalling the province's ban on transgender medicine for minors was good news. Quote, the previous supports for trans youth were in place to prevent youth suicides, said Critchley. Critchley said that she'll be spending the next few weeks convening town halls to hear from voters in the riding. She's preemptively putting out an invitation to both Poilievre and Liberal candidate Darcy Spady to join her at one of these town halls. Quote, I will be welcoming those two for sure, said Critchley. Critchley has been less welcoming to some other potential candidates, though. She released an open letter to the Longest Ballot Committee, an activist group protesting former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's broken 2015 election promise on electoral reform, asking the group to, quote, not come here and muddy the waters further. The group, which gets headlines by swamping the ballot with dozens of candidates, also targeted Poilièvre's Ottawa area riding of Carleton during the federal election in April. Critchley said the tomfoolery will only make it harder for a candidate like her to knock off Poilièvre in the August by-election. So that was the piece. Like I said, from the National Post, it wasn't terrible at all. So, hey, gotta give credit where it's due here. Now, one of the things that Bonnie Critchley, have to stop making that mistake, has stated on her Facebook page, happened at a moment where she entered a room for one of her town halls. And this happened, kids and cubs, and I'm happy to show it because this gives you the sense here that she is someone that does indeed mean business. So let's play this for you here, and there we go.
Let's get this cleaned up.
So for those who are listening at home, she basically entered into the room, and there are two little chalkboards. And the first one has Pierre's 4-point slogan, axe the tax, stop the crime, but homes, all that kind of stuff. Even though the tax has been axed. And the other one says,
let's get this cleaned up too.
Canada first, for a change, bring it home. So she cleans off the chalkboard. And then she ends with this.
We are home. This is our home. Our riding.
Boom. We are home. This is our home. Our riding. If she starts getting some traction, that message is going to stick. It is really going to stick because there are a lot of people that are not happy that the fact that he's been parachuted in. Now, she walked into the room and found it like that. But there's this other thing that she posted the other day that is, again, this is a woman who knows what she is doing here. And it's supposed as more than just a hat, talking about her cowboy hat, the black one. Leadership isn't about image, it's about service. Read the caption to find out more. Independent Bonnie Critchley. Our home, our riding. Making a hashtag out of it. And she says here, ever wonder why Bonnie wears a black cowboy hat? In the Royal Canadian Armored Corps, soldiers wear black berets, a mark of their unique role and resilience. Bonnie's hat is a tribute to that legacy. It's her way of saying she's ready to serve Battle River-Crowfoot with the same integrity, strength, and grounded leadership. Boom. Meanwhile, you had Pierre wearing his backwards while holding a Coors Light. Just saying, the juxtaposition reveals a lot. Now, other news in Alberta. The Alberta PC party seems like it is going to be a real thing at the moment. I think that there probably still is some decisions from Elections Alberta to be able to assure that the name can be used, but Danielle Smith seems to think that because that there seems to be some type of law that makes it such that no other party can use the Alberta PC name, because those were one of the two parties that went to fold in to create the UCP, and so as to not create confusion, that should not be allowed. But it seems that there has to be there's some other rules about what has been done with the name, and it seems that the UCP did not own the name of the party, but that some private citizen had done this and was holding the name for 2 years. And I guess they were asked if they would release it or either it came time for it to be released and the person did not renew it, one or the other, and the two people that are spearheading the revival of the PC Party of Alberta did reserve the name. So the name is theirs, and they do have it, and it does not belong to the UCP as a past brand. So there could be a case that, yes, they actually could revive it. They put out a presser on July 5th. Progressive Conservative Party of Alberta relaunched to restore trust, stability, and good governance. The Progressive Conservative Party of Alberta has been officially relaunched, marking the return of a party focused on accountability, steady leadership, and putting Albertans first, not ideology or self-interest. Backed by sitting MLA Peter Guthrie and Scott Sinclair, sitting MLAs, the revived PC Party offers a clear, principled alternative to the chaos, uncertainty that have defined Alberta's politics in recent years. Quote, leadership means showing up, doing the work, and being accountable to the people you serve. That's the historical foundation of this party. It's what Albertans deserve, Peter Guthrie, MLA for Airdrie Cochrane, said. Rooted in the enduring values of peace, order, and good governance, the new PC Party stands as a steady alternative to the polarized and incompetent politics dominating the province. The party's leadership says Albertans are calling for a return to respectful public service, practical solutions, and a focus on the fundamentals like healthcare, education, the economy, and responsible stewardship of public resources. Quote, we hear it every day. People feel politically homeless. We're here to offer a real conservative choice that is grounded in steady and focused on getting things done. Scott Sinclair, MLA for Lesser Slave Lake. The party is inviting all Albertans who believe in practical conservatism, fiscal responsibility, social reliability, and collaborative leadership to join the movement. The Progressive Conservatives know that leadership is earned and accountability is owed. So it seems that there is now a petition circulating, and you can get that petition at mypcalberta.ca if you are living in Alberta and would like an Alberta PC party to be created. They need to collect 8,900 signatures from all across Alberta to register with Elections Alberta. 8,900 signatures in a province of about 5 million is not a lot. So if you are Albertan and you would like, you're not impressed with the current government and you would like to have more choices, the Alberta PC Party is looking to become a thing, and its first step is collecting 8,900 signatures. I have a feeling that Mr. Guthrie will have no problem acquiring those signatures. So good for him for getting that started. Again, as we say, democracy is something that you do, and he is someone who is rolling up his sleeves to make sure that it gets done. Peter Guthrie, as we mentioned, had some issues with what the government was doing and all the scandals, and was asking for some accountability. Didn't get any, so decided he would sit as outside of cabinet, but still as a member of the caucus, and then got booted from the caucus. Then Scott Sinclair, who's a new MP, from representing again, not MP, MLA, representing Lesser Slave Lake, had some problems with the budget, and well, Danielle Smith didn't like that, so she kicked him out of the party. So both of them together are starting this movement, and it seems there might probably be other people that are helping, but that has started. And this seems to be a thing that's going on in several provinces. In British Columbia, there are some people that are not happy with John Rustad of the Conservative Party, and they were ejected as well. And they've formed something called the BC One Party, except in their case, they believe that John Rustad isn't right enough. This one is a party that looks to be more centrist than, well, more to the center of Danielle Smith. I won't say centrist, but more to the center of Danielle Smith. And then in Ontario, there's a leadership confirmation vote coming up for Bonnie Crombie and the Liberals, and there's a movement from within the Provincial Liberal Party that's called New Leaf Liberals that is seeking, making the case very publicly for the fact that they need a new leader. So there's lots of turmoil in provincial politics as well. But this is something that looks like it has a very good chance of becoming a thing. And if it does, you're going to have a situation where you have the Alberta Republican Party that's even more to the right of the UCP and this party that would be to the left of it or to the center of it. I would probably would be more accurate. And where does that leave Danielle? Because if the hardcore people don't believe that she's hardcore enough, particularly if she's not going to make a full endorsement of Alberta's separation, and the people in the center feels that, well, she just does whatever she wants when she wants, how she wants, and she doesn't care about anybody else, she might be squeezed. And if this catches on provincially, I'm sure hoping that it could happen federally too, because our current Conservative Party is not particularly conservative and not particularly centrist. But keep your ears to the ground with that, kits and cubs. And we hopefully will be able to get Mr. Guthrie on the show to come for a chat. Also, speaking of that, kits and cubs, because you've requested it and we have been able to follow through, we have been in contact with Mr. Thomas Lukasik, who is a former Deputy Premier of Alberta, who's kickstarted the Forever Canadian movement to get a pro-Canada question on the ballot for a referendum, thanks to the Alberta Citizens Initiative. And we have been talking to him, and he responded to us and said, "Thank you. I will be glad to do an interview with you. Let's wait for Elections Alberta announcement of the rules, and we will launch our campaign shortly after." So in a little while, we will have Mr. Lukasik on the show to be able to chat with us, and hopefully we'll be able to have Mr. Guthrie as well. So there you go, kits and cubs. That's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. We hope that you love listening to us because we love making this for you. Remember, sharing is caring and word of mouth is priceless. So please tell your peeps and poops all about us. We really appreciate it when you do, especially when you add a little something of yours to it. If you would like to make sure that you do not miss an episode, kids and cubs, well, you do not have to, because if you're busy and you're on the go, well, we, with the help, invaluable help of the Ray Girl, have a way for you to take us with you because we are portable. Not only are we a video cast, but we are an audio cast, ears only version. So if you scan that QR code, that will bring you to our pod page, podpage.com/the-true-north-eager-beaver with a hyphen between each one of those words. And when you go there and click subscribe, when we have something fresh off the bandwidth, it comes directly to you. And if you are listening to us on podcasts and are able to give us stars and reviews, please do so because that helps us with the algorithm. If you'd like to help us in other ways, kids and cubs, then you need to grab your surfboard and hang 10 and surf on down to the True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube page, like 19,400 of you have done so far. Let's help us get to 20,000. I would really appreciate that. And you can do that by scanning that QR code or just going to our YouTube page. And when you're there, we have our buttons like, share, and subscribe. Give them a little tickle. It makes us happy when you do. And that too helps us with the algorithm. If you'd like to help us in other ways, we do incur some costs to bring the show to you. And if you would like to help us with that, because that help is always appreciated, everything that you grant us does go back into the show. You can make a donation via our coffee page, and that QR code that just appeared on screen will bring you there. And if you're listening, that's coffee, ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver. Now, if you are truly buying Canadian and you want to avoid the CE Tech Bros, a direct bank transfer to our email address, truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com, accomplishes the same thing. And as a bonus, we get 100% of your donation. So it's win-win. We thank you for all of your support by making a donation to the Eager Beaver Lodge Emergency Hydration Fund to keep your beaver moist. Very important, because a moist beaver is a happy beaver. Thank you for all your support. That email address, truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com, is the same one you can write to us to let us know what you think about the show, because we do love to hear from you, good, bad, or ugly. If ugly, though, be kind, because we are sensitive creatures. But please do write to us, truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com. We love to hear everything that you have to say, and all your donations and all your comments do go back into the show, and we use them to make it better. And we appreciate you for taking the time, because it does take time out of your day to write us something, and you have a lot to do. So when you think of us that way, that makes us very happy. Other ways to communicate with us are through our socials, at True Eager at the Blue Sky Beaver Lodge, or on the Jitter, on our Facebook page, our original home on the web, True North Eager Beaver, or if you're happening to be listening to us on YouTube, either live with the DAMFAM or later on at your own convenience, right down here in the comments section, leave us a little something. We read everything that you write to us, even though we're not necessarily able to respond to everyone. And we thank you again for taking the time. It really means the world to us. And you say such lovely things. So, of course, we're always eager to read it because, most of the stuff you say is positive and the stuff that you offer that is constructive actually is constructive. So either way, everybody wins. And I like those kinds of situations, to be honest. I like it when everybody wins. All right, kids and cubs. Let's see, because democracy is something that you do. Well, there you go. If you happen to be living in Alberta, go to My PC Alberta, mypcalberta.ca, and to be one of the 8,900 to put your signature down in order to have the creation of the Alberta PC party happen again. And of course, keep your pens at the ready, because when the rules for the referendum do come down, Thomas Lukasik will be looking for your signatures, and he might need close to 300,000 of them in order to get the question on the ballot. So make sure that your wrists are nice and relaxed and that your pen is at the ready, because your signatures will be needed on a lot of things in the next couple of days in order to free Alberta from the clutches of disastrous Danielle. Yeesh. But like I said, we say democracy is something that you do, and these people are literally taking it upon themselves to do the hard work of democracy. All we need to do is to show up and offer our signature so that more democracy can take place, so that the people of Alberta can have better choices. So it seems like a little bit of work, a small amount of work, for potentially great reward. So we hope that if you live in Alberta, that you do get involved and grant your signature, whether you support the ideas or not, at least, right? Just to let the process play out. Sometimes you don't, if you're not going to vote for an Alberta PC party, you might still like to have better choices and better competition to keep the party that you do vote for honest, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be because you want to vote for the party that you would sign the petition. So please do try to be involved as you can. Words of wisdom, kids and cubs. I'm just going to say, you know what? Don't let anybody dim your sparkle. Just be yourself. Be the best self that you can be, and just shine on. And trust me, somebody's going to notice, and it's going to make their day. All right, kids and cubs, it could be a tough world out there, so please be kind to and gentle with yourself. And now, all together, please, if you would, can you say, Mr. Beaver, cue the cock on 1, 2, 3. Oh, damn. I heard all the Albertans in the crowd. All right, here you go. You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, their uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music. Kids and Cubs, couldn't let you go without a little Easter egg. This one is 4th of July inspired. As you know, on the O Canada show, we showed you an example of 2 cakes that were really well designed. Here is one that was made for the 4th of July. Oh my. That's some frosty little frosting there. For those who are listening, it's a cake that is it's a carrot cake that has some red, white, and blue icing, and the blue lettering on the icing says "Fuck Donald Trump." That is a cake I can definitely slam my face into. All right, kids and cubs, have a beautiful day. Mwah. Amour et bisous.